Happy Friday! It's me and I'm back and yeah, you know my usual. I'm wishing you the greatest, wishing you a wonderful, wonderful time. And if you have not noticed in these like 15 seconds into this video, I am wearing no makeup. None. Like none. There's nothing on my face. Like no tinted moisturizer, no bronzer, like the most like I got my eyebrows threaded a couple of weeks ago, so they're shaped, but I didn't even fill them in. I really didn't. And I mean, I always like to look my best for you guys, but I think it's actually kind of fitting today because kind of what I wanted to talk about today is like stripping away of things and getting back to the basics of who we are. So I guess it's fitting that I stripped away the makeup and I'm just all natural. Oh. So, this is the last quarter of the year. Like, really, we are in the last days. Not cryptically like the last days, but like the last days of 2015. Let me back that up, okay? Don't want to scare anybody. I'm not that powerful. I don't know all that, okay? um, but we're in the last days of 2015, and the last quarter of the year is always very interesting to me because it's a very like I actually go into like a winter, a personal winter where I spend a lot of time reflecting and looking, taking into inventory of, where I am, what I've done in this year, and what I want to take away, and what I want to do for the following year. So it really fits. And it's interesting how, whatever you pay attention, wherever your focus is, you will get that confirmation back to you. And so I was on Facebook and in a group that I'm in, one of the lovely ladies had asked a question. And the question was, what is your personal truth? And how did you get to it? How did you find it? And it was really, like I said, it was a really fitting question because it's a thing that I've thought about and, asked a lot about of myself lately. And what I wound up saying and what I've discovered for myself is that it's not so much that I found my truth as it is that I allowed it to be revealed to me. What I found for me is that there was just all this stuff, like, stuff on stuff on stuff on top of stuff on top of stuff on top of stuff that I had to just kind of, keep removing and to get down to the nitty gritty and to the basics of who I am. And what I found was that life was so much more simple than I had made it for years. But it made sense. And I don't say anything that I'm getting ready to say now. I'm not saying it to say that I'm placing blame on anyone's shoulders because I totally understand that I am the maker of my life. I'm completely responsible for my own life. But what I found for me is that I was so disconnected from myself. I don't know exactly when that started. I don't know how it started. What I do know is that as far back as I can remember, my life was always about everyone else. I was always happy if everyone else was happy. And particularly my parents. I'm an only child. So for me, they were the center of my world. So if my parents were happy, I was happy. And then I learned to adopt that mindset and extend it into the rest of my relationships. So if my extended family was happy, yay, we're happy. If my friends are happy, yay, I'm happy. As I grew older and started getting into romantic relationships, hey, if you're happy, I'm happy, yay. Well, the problem with that is inevitably you're going to reach a point where no, you're not happy. So what do you do when you're not happy? Well, when you're disconnected from yourself, as I was, you learn to suppress it and walk away. One, not saying that you're happy, and two, feeling like you're bad or wrong for being unhappy. And so that only gets reinforced by the people around you because you continue to draw in people who are just going to reinforce your worldview. So for me, it was as a child. If I said something my parents didn't like, if I disagreed with my parents, I was told I was bad, I was wrong, I was disrespectful, or anything like that. And I believed them because they're my parents. They're bigger than me. They have been here longer. They know. I don't know anything. They know everything. And so I believed them. Anything that, happened, within my family, if I said or did something within my family, and all the adults, oh my gosh, oh, I wouldn't let my kid talk like that. And I walked away understanding, okay, well, I'm bad and wrong for that. Among my friends, if somebody told me, I did this, I did that, okay, well, now I'm bad or wrong. I believed I was whatever anyone else told me I was. And so I found, when I started getting to this place of asking myself, man, who the heck am I? What the heck do I believe? I found that it went against a lot of what I initially believed and was told to believe. The first time it happened for me was college. I tell people all the time, college was a wonderful time for me because I went to school by myself. I didn't go to school with, people that I knew. And I was away from my dad. Bless his heart. I love my dad. I totally understand today what he wanted to instill in me, but his methods kind of missed the mark. But it was the first time, being in college was the first time that I got to hear my own thoughts. And what I found was, hey, wait a minute. I don't believe these things. I don't agree with that. Well, why did I always do? Why did I always believe that I did? Oh, because I was told to. And I made progress. And I remember when I was making the progress, I remember that's when my dad and I really started bumping heads. And he would tell me things like, ever since you went to college, you think you know everything. You're changing, you're different, you're bad. And for a while, I would feel really guilty about that. I would feel really bad, but something in me would not let me accept that. And whatever little progress I made in that, I just threw out the window at 21 because that's when I met my now ex-husband and we married like 2 years later. And I then started putting in all those same practices that I'd worked so hard to get rid of. So now instead of it being about my parents and friends, it was now my husband. If my husband was happy, I was happy. If my husband wasn't happy, I wasn't happy. If my husband said I was wrong, bad, whatever, I believed him. I put all those same practices into place. And it wasn't until I was 30, it wasn't until I was miserable, and it wasn't until my dad died that I was like, okay, some changes have to be made. And we divorced, and I found myself alone and feeling really alone for the very first time. And as miserable as I was, it still gave me some time to sit and get back to the basics of me and who I am. And I had to ask myself all over again, well, what is my truth? What do I believe? And again, as it was, years ago when I was a freshman in college, found myself going, I don't believe those things. I don't agree with those things. Well, why did I? Well, because my husband always told me, because, so I found I had to get back to the basics. I had to strip away a lot of that. And what I found is that I became someone, what I believed and who I became was someone completely different than what everyone was used to. So then what happened is that all the people in my life who knew me then started telling me how different I was. And it was almost like there was something wrong with me. Like, oh my gosh, do you see what she's doing? To the point where it sometimes it made me look at myself like, why are they talking about me like that? I'm not on drugs. I'm not doing nothing like, but and I'm really proud of myself because this was the first time that I was like, nope, I do not believe you. I do not believe you. This time I chose not to believe him and I chose to believe myself. I chose to ask myself, self, who do you say you are? And I went with that. But what I know today that I didn't know then is that what they were saying to me is, you're different. You're not who I have known you to be. Because, see, who I've known you to be, I'm comfortable with that person. I'm comfortable with that. But now you're being someone else. And I'm not comfortable with that. That makes me really, really, really uncomfortable. So I want you to go back to being who I've known you to be so I can go back to being comfortable. Because here's the thing about change. When you change, very rarely is your change just about you. Change causes little ripple effects. And what it calls for the other people in your life to do, it calls them to adapt. And what is adaptation? It's just a change. So your change now requires other people to change. And they don't want to do that. They want you to go back. It's uncomfortable. If you've ever been through a period of change, you know it can be really, really, really uncomfortable. It really can. So I don't say this with any judgment at all. I get it. But we got to go through it. You got to go through it if you want to get to the better. And so once I went through this particular change that, after my dad died, the difference was I stopped believing what was being told to me. I was told a whole lot of stuff. I was told I was martyring myself because of my dad. I was told I was going crazy. I was told technically I wasn't really told those things. They were told to other people behind my back, and then it got back to me that that's what was told. But you know what? I digress. It's neither here nor there. But what is here and there is that I didn't believe it. I chose not to believe those things. And I had to get to the truth of who I am. And the truth, my truth, what I've learned about myself is that I am everything and nothing all at once. Like, that's a very humbling thing to understand, that in this vast world, I am but a microcosm. Like, my experiences are just a microcosm of the whole world. But I'm so powerful in my space, in my own, body, in my own part of this world. I can create so much change for myself. And that change that I create can then go on to affect other people and motivate and cause and be the catalyst for more change. So I'm everything and nothing all at once. I've also found that life is much more simple than I've made it. And I said that already, but it bears repeating. There have been times, like I said, when I wasn't happy. Well, all I had to do was speak up. And okay, I didn't like this, just make a change. But I didn't know that. So I would go on around trying to figure out the hows and whys of how someone could violate my space, when all that I needed to know was, I feel like this is a violation of me. I don't like that. Let me set some boundaries so you know not to do that again. Man, simple. But it's also much more complex because what looks like something to me could be something completely different. And I can create a whole story around someone else's intentions and behavior and what they've done, how they've done it, the whys that they've done it, and then talk to them and find out that it was something completely different. And there is the beauty of life for me. Like, I am a walking oxymoron. I tell people that all the time. But that's my truth. That's who I am. I've also become quite comfortable in my own skin. I'm not perfect. That's my truth. I'm not perfect. But it's okay that I'm not perfect. I go for doing everything with love. Everything. I do to the best of my ability. I may fall, but I'm going to get back up and do it again. I am my father's daughter. Yeah, that used to be a hard one for me. If you walked around saying, "Oh, that's Bernie Mac's daughter," I would be like, man, if you don't stop calling me that. But it's the truth. It is. It's who I am. I am Bernie Mac's daughter. I'm also a mom. I'm the best. I do the best that I can. I am me. And I am enough. That means I don't have to do anything. I don't have to get anything to be worthy or deserving of anything. I'm here. I'm me. And I'm enough. And it took me a while to recognize that truth. But that is the truth. The truth is not everyone will like me. And that's okay. Woo! Do you know how big that was? That was huge for me. My poor little feelings would be so hurt and I'd just take it so personally. And I had to understand it's not personal. It just is what it is. And it's okay. And the other truth is I'm still learning things about myself. I sometimes learn things about myself. I won't even say just every day, like every moment, depending on the hour, I may have learned something new about myself. Like, I now know something new about myself that I don't know. I'm always changing and evolving. And that's the truth. And that's also okay. And I'm comfortable with that. Used to be, I really did not like change. I could not stand it. I would fight like tooth and nail to make things. Nope. I wanted to stay the same. It doesn't. I'm always changing, always evolving, and that is the truth. I may do another one as time goes on if I figure out any more truths, but that I think it's a really good question to ask, particularly right now. So, what is your truth? And how did you find it? Think about that one for a while. Yeah. Next week is Christmas, so I don't know that I may get around to posting anything. I may just kind of just chillax and, rest. So if I don't see you, Merry Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa. I don't know if Ramadan passed already, but if it did, or either way, hope it was wonderful. And just season's greetings, because I know everyone doesn't believe and practice the same things that I do. So I'm very respectful of that. Appreciate that. Love you guys. Wishing you the best. Not just today, but always. And so, yeah.